whispering woods of Waukesha County, Wisconsin, there is a place shrouded in mystery and fear, a place that some say should never be visited. It is called Haunchyville, a village hidden deep within the forest, inhabited by dwarves who are said to guard their secrets with deadly intent. The legend begins with the claim that Haunchyville lies somewhere near Mystic Drive in Muskego, a road that winds through the trees, barely more than a forgotten path, often veiled in mist. Locals speak of strange occurrences, unsettling sounds in the night, shadows that move unnaturally, and figures that appear in the woods when no one is around. But the most chilling story of all is that of the village itself, where the dwarves are said to live, their tiny homes nestled in the dark corners of the forest, invisible to most who pass by. It is said that these dwarves are not the innocent, whimsical creatures from fairy tales. They are ferocious and territorial, and they do not take kindly to trespassers. Those who have ventured too close to Haunchyville have never returned, or at least not without disturbing tales. Some say the dwarves are protectors of the forest, guarding it against outsiders who threaten their hidden world. Others whisper that they are the vengeful spirits of a forgotten people, cursed to remain small and twisted, forever bound to the dark forest. What is truly terrifying, however, is the idea that the villagers of Haunchyville are not just reclusive, but possess an eerie power. If you wander too close to their village, they say, you may never escape. The dwarves are said to trap anyone who gets too near, keeping them in the woods as their own, never to see the light of day again. Some even believe that the dwarves have the ability to alter your size, shrinking you to become one of them, forever part of their hidden world. Haunchyville remains a place of fear and fascination. Few dare to seek it out, and even fewer return to tell the tale. If you ever find yourself driving down Mystic Drive, take heed. Some legends are best left undisturbed. Welcome to tonight's story, The 27 Club, a calming tale of famous artists lost too soon. Relax, let go, and drift peacefully as the legend unfolds. The 27 Club is an infamous urban legend, suggesting that a disproportionately high number of famous musicians, artists, and celebrities die at the age of 27. This belief stems from the deaths of several well-known figures in music and art, who all tragically passed away at this age. Among them are Brian Jones of the Rolling Stones, iconic guitarist Jimi Hendrix, soulful singer Janis Joplin, punk vocalist Mia Zapata, The Doors frontman Jim Morrison, Nirvana's Kurt Cobain, painter Jean-Michel Basquiat, and most recently, singer-songwriter Amy Winehouse. The idea behind the 27 Club first gained traction in the early 1970s, especially following the deaths of Hendrix, Joplin, and Morrison, who all died within a short span between 1969 and 1971. Their youth, extraordinary talent, and sudden demises at the same age fed into the myth, making it seem like there was a pattern or curse surrounding the number 27. As more artists joined the list over the years, particularly Kurt Cobain in the 1990s and Amy Winehouse in 2011, the legend became more widely accepted in popular culture. However, Despite the eerie coincidences, the notion that there is a statistically significant spike in celebrity deaths at age 27 has been debunked numerous times. Several studies have analyzed the ages of musicians' deaths and found no unusual pattern at this specific age. While the deaths of these iconic figures are tragic, they reflect a broader issue of the high pressures and risks that often come with fame, including struggles with substance abuse, mental health issues, and the chaotic lifestyle of the entertainment industry. The 27 Club endures in part because of society's fascination with early death and the romanticization of tortured artists who burn brightly before extinguishing too soon. While it's tempting to believe in a mysterious pattern or curse, the reality is that these talented individuals' deaths were the result of human vulnerabilities rather than supernatural forces or statistical anomalies. In the end, the 27 Club remains more of a myth, fueled by coincidence than an actual phenomenon. Hidden within the eerie expanse of Maple Hill Park in Huntsville, Alabama, lies a playground that few dare to visit after dark. Known as the Dead Children's Playground, it sits in the shadow of Maple Hill Cemetery, where countless lives were lost during the brutal Spanish flu pandemic of 1918. Many of these were children, tiny lives cut short by the merciless wave of illness that swept through the town. Their graves, small and silent, line the edges of the cemetery, just steps away from the playground, where swings now creak and echo through the night. As dusk falls, a haunting atmosphere descends upon the playground. Locals warn that the children who perished here never truly left. Strange occurrences have been reported for years. Swings move on their own, the rusted chains rattling as if gripped by invisible hands. In the sand beneath the slide, visitors find tiny footprints that appear suddenly and disappear just as mysteriously. Some who pass by in the evening hours have claimed to hear faint giggles or the distant sound of children calling out, voices carried on an unsettling breeze that seems to chill the very air around it. Witnesses describe seeing shadowy figures darting between the playground equipment, flickering in and out of sight like fading memories. A few brave souls have even claimed to catch glimpses of ghostly children, their pale forms just visible in the moonlight, with hollow, haunting eyes fixed on the swings. Others report feeling an icy touch on their shoulders or a tug at their clothing, as if tiny hands were reaching out, desperate to play just once more. Despite the renovations and new equipment, the playground remains a place haunted by sorrow and loss, as if the spirits of the past refuse to let go. It's said that the restless souls of these children are bound to this place, forever drawn to the playground they never had the chance to truly enjoy in life. Visitors leave trinkets, small toys and flowers by the swings, hoping to soothe the spirits that linger. For those who know the tale, the Dead Children's Playground is not merely a place for children's laughter, but a portal to something darker. A reminder that some places are scarred by history, with memories and spirits that will not fade, even as time moves on. In this calming bedtime tale, we'll explore the curious urban legend of the 999 phone charging myth, a story about a phone trick that never quite worked but sparked imaginations. Relax and enjoy. The 999 phone charging myth is a widely circulated urban legend is supposed to give your phone an instant boost of power, effectively extending its battery life. This claim, although entirely false, has been surprisingly persistent, with many people over the years believing or at least wondering if there's some truth to it. While the exact origin of the myth is unclear, it likely began circulating in the early days of mobile phones, when people were still learning the nuances of how these devices worked. Some suggest it may have originated from confusion around how phones access emergency services even when they appear to have no signal or very low battery. This feature, which allows phones to make emergency calls even in unfavorable conditions, may have been misunderstood, leading to the belief that calling 999 somehow recharges the phone. In the age of social media, the myth gained new life. People posted about their experiences trying the trick, and discussions on online forums, blogs, and social networks helped spread the false information further. The myth was particularly appealing because it offered a seemingly quick fix to a common problem: a dying phone battery at an inconvenient time. The reality is that calling 999 does not charge your phone. Mobile phones are powered by batteries that require electrical charging from an external source, like a wall socket, power bank, or USB connection. Emergency numbers like 999, 911, or 112 do not have the capability to transmit any form of electrical charge to a mobile device. The idea that merely making a phone call could restore battery life is not supported by any scientific or technical evidence. In fact, making a phone call when your battery is already low can drain it further, especially if the call is placed to an emergency line. Mobile phones consume more power when trying to connect to emergency services, particularly if the signal is weak. So, far from saving battery life, calling 999 could actually lead to your phone shutting down faster. While the myth may seem harmless, it can have serious consequences. In the UK, calling 999 without a legitimate emergency wastes time and resources for emergency operators and responders. Every unnecessary call diverts attention from real emergencies where lives might be at stake. In extreme cases, repeated hoax calls can result in legal consequences. Intentionally making prank calls to emergency services is a criminal offense in many countries, and those caught misusing these numbers may face fines or even imprisonment. In the UK, making hoax calls to 999 can lead to legal action under the Communications Act 2003. Emergency service organizations, mobile phone companies, and fact-checking websites have repeatedly debunked the 999 phone charging myth. These efforts aim to educate the public about how mobile phones and emergency services really work in hopes of preventing misuse. In a world where misinformation can spread quickly, it's important to approach such claims with skepticism and rely on credible sources for information. If your phone battery is low, the only way to recharge it is to connect it to a power source. No phone call, emergency or otherwise, will change that. In summary, the 999 phone charging myth is just that, a myth. It's essential to understand how mobile phones function and to avoid making false calls to emergency numbers, ensuring that emergency services remain available for those who truly need them. In the dead of night, there's a number whispered among those brave, or foolish, enough to try. 999-9999. According to the legend, if you dial this number after midnight, an eerie voice on the other end will answer, ready to grant your deepest, darkest wish. But there's a catch. Whatever you ask for will come true, but your life will be the price. The legend has it that the voice on the other end is patient, almost amused, as if it's heard countless desperate pleas before. You might hear soft breathing or the faint sound of something shifting, waiting for you to speak your desire. Ask for fame, fortune, or revenge, and it's granted, swift and precise. But the moment your wish is fulfilled, your fate is sealed. Witnesses claim that people who dared to make the call found themselves in strange, terrifying accidents shortly after, as if some unseen force had come to collect their due. Stories tell of a girl who dialed the number to become the most popular student in school. She achieved her wish, but within days she was found dead under mysterious circumstances. Her phone lying beside her, with 9999999 still on the screen. Another tale recounts a young man who asked for unimaginable wealth, only to be discovered lifeless in his luxury apartment just days later. The phone's last call pointing to that same cursed number. In 2002, the legend inspired a horror film, 9999999, where the cursed number brings terror to those who dare to test its power. Even today, some thrill seekers and skeptics dial 9999999 after midnight, hoping to prove the legend false. But as the silence stretches on and the dial tone fades, some swear they hear a faint voice, asking softly, "What is your wish?" Tonight, we dive into the strange and surreal tale of aerial water bomber picking up a scuba diver. Relax as we explore this curious urban legend where the impossible becomes almost believable. The urban legend of the aerial water bomber picking up a scuba diver is a bizarre yet captivating tale that has made its way into popular culture and persists as one of the more outlandish myths in modern folklore. The story claims that an aerial water bomber, often described as either a large airplane or a helicopter equipped with a water scooping mechanism, accidentally scoops up an unsuspecting scuba diver from a body of water, only to later dump them, along with the water, over a wildfire site. According to the legend, the scuba diver is swimming or diving in a lake or reservoir when the water bomber, in an attempt to fill its tanks or bucket to help extinguish a wildfire, unknowingly captures the diver along with the water. The diver is then carried in the tank or bucket high into the air, transported to a burning forest, and dropped with the water onto the blaze. The legend typically ends with firefighters or rescue workers later discovering the charred remains of the unfortunate diver, still wearing their scuba gear, on the ground at the fire site. Some versions of the story include details of the diver's baffled expression or comments from authorities trying to piece together how the individual ended up there. This urban legend is particularly compelling because it combines elements of surprise, mystery, and dark humour, while also invoking themes of human error and the randomness of fate. It's easy to see why such a strange and tragic tale would spread, especially among communities familiar with both wildfires and water-based recreation. The concept of a scuba diver being unwittingly scooped up by a firefighting aircraft seems absurd allowing it to circulate more widely and persist as an intriguing piece of modern folklore. Despite its enduring appeal, the aerial water bomber picking up a scuba diver myth has been thoroughly debunked. Snopes.com, a well-known urban legend debunking site along the mist-shrouded waters of Wyoming's Platte River, locals whisper of a spectral vessel that has haunted the river for centuries. Known as the Death Ship of the Platte River, this ghostly apparition appears suddenly, cutting through the fog with an unnatural silence that chills even the bravest souls who witness it. Those who have seen it claim it's no ordinary ship, but a cursed harbinger of doom, a warning of death for those unfortunate enough to catch a glimpse of its decaying masts and spectral crew. The ship is said to be a battered, ancient vessel, its once proud sails now tattered and hanging limply, though no wind stirs them. The entire ship glows with an eerie, grey light, casting an unnatural pallor over the river as it moves silently, with no sign of rippling water to mark its path. Its wooden hull appears worn and rotting, covered in strange mosses and barnacles, yet it glides as if untouched by time. Witnesses recount that the ghostly ship seems to be staffed by a crew of shadowy figures, barely distinguishable from the mist that clings to the riverbanks. These phantom sailors stand deathly still, their hollow eyes staring blankly ahead, as though seeing a world beyond the living. The sight of them is enough to paralyze anyone who dares to watch, their forms flickering like candle flames in the fog, silent, yet filled with an overwhelming sense of dread. According to legend, those who see the death ship of the Platte River are destined to witness a death, often their own or that of someone close to them. Stories tell of pioneers and river travellers who encountered the ghostly vessel and soon after met tragic ends. One tale describes a fisherman who spotted the ship gliding down the river on a foggy morning. Mesmerised, he watched as one of the ghostly sailors extended a bony hand and pointed directly at him. Within days the man fell ill, his life draining away under mysterious circumstances. Another chilling account recalls a young couple who were boating on the river at dusk when the ship emerged from the fog. They watched in horror as the crew seemed to look straight through them, their empty eyes filled with a cold indifference to the living. Days later, the couple's bodies were discovered on the riverbank, their boat overturned, and no explanation for their sudden deaths. The death ship of the Platte River is no mere phantom tale. Locals swear by its appearances, warning travellers not to linger by the river when the fog thickens, especially near Alcova and Torrington. It's a grim reminder that some spirits do not rest, and that some waters are forever cursed. The ship drifts onward, a harbinger of death, carrying the souls of its doomed crew, forever bound to the Platte's dark, winding course. Tonight we gently explore the captivating legend of Anastasia Romanov's survival. Settle in as we unravel the mystery of the lost Duchess and the hope that lingered for decades. The urban legend of Anastasia Romanov's survival is one of the most enduring and captivating stories of 20th century history. It revolves around the idea that Grand Duchess Anastasia Nikolaevna of Russia, the youngest daughter of Tsar Nicholas II, somehow escaped the tragic fate that befell her family during the Russian Revolution in 1918. While the rest of the Romanov family was believed to have been executed by Bolsheviks, rumours persisted for decades that Anastasia had miraculously survived and disappeared, living under a different identity. The legend began shortly after the Romanov family's execution. On July 17th, 1918, Nicholas II, his wife Alexandra, and their 5 children, including Anastasia, were shot and killed by Bolshevik forces in a basement in Yekaterinburg. Their bodies were taken to a remote forest where they were hastily buried in unmarked graves. When the remains of the family were discovered years later, the bodies of 2 Romanov children were missing, including that of Anastasia. This fueled speculation that Anastasia had somehow survived the massacre. The mystery of Anastasia's fate took on a life of its own, with numerous women over the years coming forward claiming to be the lost Duchess. The most famous of these claimants was Anna Anderson, who emerged in the 1920s in Germany. Anderson insisted that she was Anastasia, and that she had survived the execution thanks to the help of a sympathetic guard. According to her story, she had sustained injuries, but managed to escape and was taken to safety. Her claims garnered international attention, and while many doubted her authenticity, she also attracted a significant following of people who wanted to believe in the possibility that the Romanov princess had survived. Anna Anderson's story was captivating, especially in an era still reeling from the aftershocks of World War I and the Russian Revolution. The idea that one of the Romanovs had escaped the revolution and was living in secret was an enticing fantasy for many royalists and others who were sympathetic to the Romanov family. However, while Anderson's claim seemed plausible to some, many who knew the Romanovs dismissed her story. James Dean's untimely death in 1955 left an eerie shadow over Hollywood, a legacy of rebellion and tragedy. But it was not just his passing that stirred the imaginations of millions. It was the dark legend surrounding his beloved Porsche 550 Spider, ominously nicknamed Little Bastard. The car, the very machine in which Dean met his end on a lonely California highway, would go on to become infamous in its own right, woven into a web of curses, accidents, and unexplained events that would haunt anyone who dared come near it. Dean, known for his fascination with speed, had poured his passion into the sleek silver Porsche, a car that felt like an extension of his own persona. Dangerous, alluring, and defiant. Friends warned him about the car, claiming it gave off a sinister aura, but Dean shrugged off their concerns. Some even said they'd had visions of his death behind his wheel. Yet, on September 30th, 1955, as Dean raced down Route 466, Little Bastard met its fate, colliding with another vehicle in a brutal accident that killed him instantly. But while Dean's life ended that day, the story of Little Bastard had only just begun. The wreckage of the car was carted off, twisted and mangled, a ghostly reminder of the tragedy. Yet, for some, the remnants held a dark allure. People began to scavenge parts from the Porsche, hoping to claim a piece of history. But they would soon realise that they had taken more than just a piece of metal. They had inherited a curse. The parts from Dean's Little Bastard seemed to carry with them a thirst for destruction, a dark legacy that brought disaster upon any who dared touch it. The first victim was a mechanic who purchased the car's engine and installed it into his own race car. During his first race with the engine, he lost control, careening off the track and meeting his death in a fiery crash. Another racer, who had taken the transmission from Dean's Porsche, suffered a near-identical fate, his vehicle flipping violently on a seemingly safe track. Both men perished, their deaths eerily mirroring Dean's own tragic end, as if the spirit of Little Bastard demanded more lives. Other parts of the car met equally chilling fates. 2 tyres taken from the Porsche blew out simultaneously, diets that seemed perfectly fine beforehand, as if they'd been sabotaged by an unseen force. Another story tells of a physician who purchased the Porsche's blood-stained seats, hoping to restore them, only to find his home inexplicably caught in a blaze soon after, destroying not only the seats, but his life's belongings. The fire's cause was never determined. The twisted remains of Little Bastard were eventually purchased by car customizer George Barris, who intended to display it as a cautionary symbol. But even as a lifeless display, the Porsche continued its path of destruction. In one instance, it fell off its display stand and crushed a nearby bystander's legs. Another time, it slipped loose from its moorings while being transported and killed a truck driver in a horrific accident. It was as if the car itself resented being confined, lashing out at anyone who dared contain it. The final mystery came in 1960, when Little Bastard was in transit to a museum exhibit. Somewhere along the journey, the cursed wreck simply vanished. No one could account for its disappearance, and to this day, Little Bastard remains lost, its twisted metal and dark history dissolved into thin air. Rumours abound, with some believing the car escaped to fulfill its unholy mission, others saying it was buried to rid the world of its curse, and a few even speculating that it reappears now and then, hidden in a collector's vault, waiting to be unleashed once more. The tale of Little Bastard endures, an urban legend of fear and fascination. For those who hear it, there's an uneasy question. Could a machine be haunted, possessed by the spirit of its past? Tonight, let's drift into the mystical world of Alexandria's Genesis. Relax as we explore this captivating urban legend, where purple eyes and timeless beauty weave a tale of wonder and mystery. Alexandria's Genesis is an intriguing urban legend about a fictional genetic mutation that supposedly grants individuals a range of supernatural physical traits. According to the myth, those who possess this mutation have striking purple eyes, which allegedly develop within 6 months of birth and remain a permanent feature throughout their lives. In addition to their unique eye colour, they are said to have smooth, shimmering pale skin, completely free of freckles and blemishes, and they supposedly lack body hair, except for the hair on their heads, eyebrows and eyelashes. One of the most extraordinary claims of Alexandria's Genesis is that women who carry the mutation do not menstruate, yet they remain fully fertile. This aspect of the legend has drawn particular fascination due to its suggestion that the mutation frees women from the typical biological processes of reproduction while still allowing them to have children. Other supposed benefits include a slow aging process that allows those with Alexandria's Genesis to live for over a century without showing signs of aging, maintaining youthful appearances well into old age. Additionally, individuals with the mutation are claimed to have heightened immune systems, making them resistant to diseases and giving them a remarkable level of physical endurance. Despite the captivating nature of the legend, Alexandria's Genesis is entirely fictional. The story originated from a piece of Daria fan fiction written in 1998, which described a character with these fantastical traits. Over time, particularly during the 2000s, the story began circulating on internet forums and social media, where it was presented as though it were a real genetic condition. The narrative quickly gained popularity as people were drawn to the idea of such a mutation, combining elements of beauty, immortality, and biological perfection. In reality, there is no scientific basis for Alexandria's genesis. Purple eyes, the lack of body hair, and the absence of menstruation while maintaining fertility are biologically impossible under current genetic knowledge. In old cemeteries across the United States, there are weathered stone seats hidden among the graves, worn by time and cloaked in shadow. Known ominously as the Devil's Chair, these benches are more than mere sculptures. They are said to be gateways to the supernatural, places where darkness lingers and whispers are heard. Legends warn that those who sit on the Devil's Chair may not leave the same as they arrived, or worse, may never leave at all. One of the most infamous Devil's Chairs is found in a forgotten corner of a small cemetery in Kansas. It's a simple stone seat, cracked and faded, seemingly innocent, yet emanating a disturbing energy. Locals warn against sitting there, especially at night. They say that if you're brave, or foolish, enough to sit on it alone at midnight, the devil himself might appear, a silent figure lurking just beyond the veil of shadows. Some claim he'll offer a dark bargain, while others say he merely watches. His presence a weight upon your chest, stealing your breath. People who've dared to sit on the chair often report eerie phenomena. Some hear whispers, faint and mocking, as if unseen figures surround them. Others describe an overwhelming cold, a chill that seeps into their bones, or a sudden, paralysing feeling of dread. And the most disturbing accounts come from those who sit alone, feeling an invisible presence pressed down upon them, as if something is slowly wrapping its grip around their shoulders, squeezing them into the stone. More sinister still are the tales of those who sit in the chair only to find themselves haunted afterward. They hear footsteps behind them in empty rooms, see shadowy figures lurking just out of sight, and suffer from night terrors, each dream filled with visions of twisted faces and mocking laughter. Legends say that the chair holds the souls of those who've lingered too long, bound to the stone by their encounter with the dark. Perhaps it is merely a relic of 19th century superstition, or perhaps, as the locals claim, it is a portal where the devil waits patiently, luring the curious and the desperate into his grasp. But one thing remains certain: those who leave the Devil's Chair rarely forget its chilling embrace. Tonight we delve into the eerie tale of the ankle-slicing car thief. Relax as we explore this unsettling urban legend, where the ordinary meets the unexpected in a chilling encounter. The ankle-slicing car thief, also known as the man under the car, is a chilling urban legend that preys on the fear of being attacked in a vulnerable moment. The story typically begins with a driver who, while on the road, starts hearing strange noises coming from underneath their car. Concerned about the source of the noise, they eventually pull over and step out of the vehicle to investigate. Unbeknownst to them, a car thief is hiding under the car, waiting for this exact moment. As soon as the driver kneels down or bends over to check for the issue, the thief strikes, slicing open the driver's ankles with a knife. Immobilized by pain and unable to move, the driver is left helpless, rolling on the ground in agony. Meanwhile, the thief quickly emerges from under the car, climbs into the driver's seat, and steals the vehicle, leaving the victim stranded and injured. This expected, particularly in situations where one is isolated and defenceless. The image of a thief lying in wait under a car, prepared to attack with such a brutal method, has been enough to make many people anxious about checking their cars after hearing strange noises. However, like many urban legends, there's no evidence to support that such incidents have actually occurred. Despite its vivid and terrifying details, the story seems to exist purely in the realm of folklore, circulated through word of mouth, email chains, and internet forums over the years. The legend taps into primal fears of vulnerability, blending them with the very real concern of car theft, which makes it a memorable tale for those who hear it. While the ankle-slicing car thief might seem plausible enough to make drivers cautious, it remains just a story, another piece of urban myth that continues to circulate, feeding on the universal fear of being caught off guard in a dangerous situation. In the dark, frozen winter of February 1855, the people of East and South Devon awoke to a scene that would haunt them for years. As dawn broke, a trail of strange, unearthly footprints marred the fresh snow, weaving through the landscape with an unnatural precision. These prints, soon to be called the Devil's Footprints, left a mark of terror and mystery across Devon, as villagers whispered tales of the devil himself stalking their lands. The footprints were unlike anything seen before. They stretched in a single line, each print spaced with eerie regularity, each one an unmistakable hoof shape, cloven and pointed, as if made by a creature far from this world. Stranger still, the prints were measured precisely 8 inches apart, suggesting a creature that moved with unerring speed and purpose. They crossed through fields, over rivers, and even appeared on rooftops, ignoring natural obstacles as if they were nothing. No walls, hedges, or even snow-covered thatched roofs hindered the path of these prints. It was as though something had passed through Devon, defying the laws of nature and mocking human understanding. The villagers were gripped by fear. Some claimed it was a demon, or perhaps even Satan himself, paying a visit to remind them of his presence. Priests were called to bless homes, while locals huddled around fires, hoping that warmth and prayer might keep the dark force at bay. Those who dared to follow the footprints were led through twisted paths, only to find themselves back where they started, as if the creature had moved in circles, toying with its pursuers. Sightings of strange, shadowy figures spread rapidly. A farmer reported hearing faint, mocking laughter as he walked alone through the woods one night, his eyes catching a fleeting glimpse of a dark form in the trees. Another villager swore that she saw a pair of glowing red eyes watching from her window, disappearing only when she crossed herself and muttered a prayer. Tales like these fueled the belief that the devil's footprints were not just a physical presence, but a sign of something deeply sinister lurking just beyond sight. The phenomenon lasted for a single, harrowing night, the footprints stretching for miles before they abruptly vanished as mysteriously as they had appeared. In the days that followed, the snow melted and the tracks faded into legend, yet the fear remained. People spoke of it in hushed tones, glancing over their shoulders, as if expecting the devil to return, his footprints renewed in fresh snow. To this day, no one has explained the devil's footprints. Were they a prank, a trick of we explore the mysterious legend of Area 51. Let your mind wander as we delve into the tales of secrecy, government conspiracies, and the question, are we truly alone? Area 51 is one of the most famous and enduring urban legends in modern times, often associated with government secrecy, extraterrestrial life, and mysterious UFO sightings. Officially known as a classified section of the Nevada Test and Training Range, Area 51 is a highly restricted military base located in the remote Nevada desert. While it serves as a testing site for experimental aircraft and weapons, the site has become the centre of countless conspiracy theories over the years, with many believing it holds evidence of extraterrestrial visitors and their advanced technology. The origins of the Area 51 legend date back to the late 1940s and 1950s, a period marked by the rapid development of aviation technology and a growing interest in UFO sightings. The US government's secrecy surrounding the activities at Area 51 only fueled public curiosity. Speculation intensified in the 1980s when a man named Bob Lazar claimed that he had worked at a site near Area 51 called S4, where he said the US government was reverse engineering alien spacecraft. Lazar's detailed descriptions of flying saucers, anti-gravity propulsion, and alien technology captured the public's imagination, even though his claims were widely disputed and lacked verifiable evidence. Over the decades, Area 51 became a symbol of government cover-ups, and the idea that the US military was hiding knowledge of extraterrestrial life. UFO enthusiasts believe that Area 51 holds physical evidence of alien visitors, including crashed UFOs, and possibly even the bodies of extraterrestrials. Many also connect the base to the infamous 1947 Roswell incident, in which a mysterious object crashed in New Mexico. While the government eventually explained that the object was a weather balloon part of a classified project, many still believe it was an alien spacecraft and that its wreckage was transported to Area 51 for study. In addition to Lazar's claims, there have been numerous reports of strange lights and unidentified flying objects near Area 51, further fueling the legend. These sightings are often attributed to the secret testing of advanced military aircraft, such as the U-2 spy plane or the SR-71 Blackbird, both of which were developed and tested in the area. However, for those who believe in the extraterrestrial connection, these explanations are seen as mere cover stories. Despite the widespread speculation and intrigue, there has never been any concrete evidence to support the idea that Area 51 contains extraterrestrial technology or visitors from other planets. In fact, in 2013, the CIA officially acknowledged the existence of Area 51 for the first time, releasing declassified documents that detailed its role in testing advanced aircraft, but made no mention of aliens or UFOs. Deep in the shadowed forests of Bear Creek, North Carolina, lies a patch of barren earth known as the Devil's Tramping Ground. This ominous circle, located near Harper's Crossroads, is a chilling 40-foot ring where no vegetation grows and no animal dares linger. Locals claim it's cursed, a place haunted by the devil himself, who treads this ground nightly in a sinister ritual. For centuries, stories have circulated about the eerie clearing. People say that when midnight falls, the devil rises from the underworld, pacing the circle with dark intent, plotting his next act of evil. His heavy, unseen footsteps scorch the earth, leaving it lifeless, unable to support even the smallest blade of grass. No matter how much time passes, or how often people try to replant it, nothing grows in the devil's circle. circle are mysteriously found outside by morning, as if some unseen force cast them aside, angry at their intrusion. Others claim to hear faint whispers in the night, growing louder until they're forced to flee, their minds unravelling from the chilling sensation of being stalked by something unseen. Locals warn that nothing stays in the devil's tramping ground without consequence. Those who have dared to linger too long, mocking the legend, have reported strange misfortunes afterward. Accidents, illnesses, and haunting nightmares of a dark figure pacing circles around them, his fiery eyes fixed upon their very soul. The devil's tramping ground remains, a barren, haunted scar in the woods of North Carolina. It is a place that repels life, an eternal reminder of an ancient evil lurking beneath the surface. And so, the warning endures. If you find yourself near Bear Creek, steer clear of the circle, for the devil still paces there, leaving his mark on the earth, and perhaps on any soul foolish enough to cross his path. Tonight, we bring you the amusing tale of the baby train. Relax as we explore this light-hearted urban legend of how a simple train whistle led to an unexpected baby boom. The baby train is a humorous urban legend that tells the story of a small town with an unusually high birth rate, allegedly caused by an early morning train. According to the legend, a train would pass through the town every day at 5 a.m, blowing its whistle loudly and waking up all the residents, because it was too late to go back to sleep, but still too early to start their day. Many couples would turn to each other and engage in intimate activities to pass the time. This, the story goes, led to a surprising mini baby boom in the town. The charm of the baby train legend lies in a simple, almost innocent explanation for the town's population growth. The idea that a regular and mundane event like a train whistle can influence something as significant as the town's birth adds to the humour and appeal of the story. It's a light-hearted and somewhat plausible tale that could easily be shared at parties or over casual conversations, evoking smiles and laughter. Despite its amusing premise, there is no evidence to support the claim that any town experienced a population boom because of an early morning train. Like many urban legends, the baby train story likely originated as a joke or exaggeration and spread through word of mouth, gaining momentum as people enjoyed its quirky logic. Over time, it became a part of urban folklore, continuing to circulate despite the lack of factual basis. Ultimately, the baby train remains a playful legend, a reminder of how easily a funny story can take on a life of its own, even when it's based on nothing more than a clever idea. While there may not be a real town with a baby boom caused by a train whistle, the legend endures as an example of how myths and tales can blend everyday life with unexpected outcomes. landscape of Wisconsin, there's a chilling mystery that lingers in whispers and half-forgotten memories. According to legend, there once was a town named Doveland, a small, close-knit community with friendly neighbours and quiet streets. Yet, by the early 1990s, Doveland had disappeared without a trace. Not merely abandoned or decayed, but entirely erased, as if it had never existed. Today, there are no maps, no records, not even a mention of it in official documents. Yet, people swear they remember it, and others carry fragments of its memory in objects and eerie recollections. Locals and former residents insist they once visited or even lived in Doveland. They recall the roads, the town square, the shops, and the lake that glistened under summer skies. Some claim they have souvenirs, t-shirts, postcards, or even keychains that bear the name Doveland, Wisconsin. These objects are rare, kept like relics, though the origins are lost and faded, as if each one were a relic from a place beyond reach. Those who find themselves in possession of these objects describe an uneasy feeling, as if they hold a piece of something that wasn't meant to be remembered. The most unnerving aspect of the legend is that no one seems to agree on what happened to Doveland. Some say it was the result of a government experiment gone wrong, a project that shattered the fabric of reality itself. Others whisper about a tragedy so horrific that the town was erased to protect outsiders from its dark secrets. And still, there are those who believe Doveland simply slipped through a crack in time, disappearing into another dimension, leaving only the faintest of imprints in our world. Strangers passing through the area where Doveland once stood often report feeling lost or uneasy, as if they're being watched by something unseen. There are other eerie reports as well. Travellers say that on certain nights they've seen faint lights through the trees and heard the distant sounds of music and laughter, as though a town was still there, celebrating in the darkness. Some even say they've glimpsed ghostly figures in the shadows, walking along non-existent streets, whispering words that dissolve in the wind. People who claim to have lived in Doveland share an unsettling commonality. They all experience recurring dreams of returning to the town, walking familiar streets, greeted by familiar faces, faces they now cannot remember. They wake with a sense of deep loss, as if a part of themselves was left behind in that town that no longer exists. Strangers who visit the region sometimes describe feeling a magnetic pull to a place that doesn't appear on any map, or an intense sense of déjà vu, like they've stepped into a place they once knew but cannot recall. Doveland, Wisconsin remains an enigma, a town lost to time or perhaps to something far darker. Its absence lingers like a wound, and those who remember it are left with the eerie feeling that a piece of reality has slipped away, taking with it a slice of their own lives. The mystery of Doveland hangs like a shadow over the region, a strange void that beckons to those who seek it, yet warns of dangers hidden within forgotten places. For those who dare to remember or seek to uncover its secrets, there's always the haunting question: what happens to those who dig too deep into a place that was never meant to be found?